Hey guys, Dustin here. Welcome to another episode of Horroritis. Today we're talking about Gerald's Game. That's 2 King movies in a row. Nice.
What an excellent day for an exorcism.
So, as usual, this will contain spoilers because I'm not telling you whether or not you should see it. I'm telling you why I either liked it or disliked it, and I will be giving details. So if you haven't seen this, go watch it. It's on Netflix right now. Go watch it, come back, watch this, and then let me know in the comments if you agree with what I have to say. Because I have stuff to say. Because I am a long-winded loudmouth, as we know. So, going into this movie, I did not have high hopes because I read the book, and I did not like the book. I don't know what to say about that. I just didn't like it. Mostly with King books, I like the way that... I like when something happens. I don't know how else to put that. I like it when there's things going on, and where there's monsters and people doing bad things, and Gerald's Game didn't have that at all. For anybody who doesn't know what Gerald's Game is, it's a woman named Jessie and her husband Gerald, and they're having marital troubles, and they go up to their summer house, except it's not summer, so there's nobody else around in all the other summer houses. They go up there all by themselves, and they try to get freaky, because apparently getting freaky is the only thing that turns Gerald on. So what happens is he handcuffs her to the bed, pops a Viagra, and has a friggin' heart attack and dies. So, for the rest of the movie, Jessie is handcuffed to this bed that she can't get away from. And she is alone, with nobody around, except a dead body and a stray dog that manages to find its way into the house and starts eating her husband while she has to sit and watch. To be fair, though, this is not so much a horror movie as it is a thriller. When I think of Gerald's Game, I kind of lump it together with the book The Girl Who Loved Tom Gordon. I also wasn't a huge fan of that because mostly it was just a little girl running around in the woods. Nothing really supernatural per se, but it was just kind of a slow-moving thing, and it was a thriller and not a horror. And that's what this is too. This is also just a thriller and not so much a horror. That being said, the movie adaptation, I have to say I enjoyed it a little bit more than the book. Mostly because when you're reading the book, I mean, King's got this way of, building characters and settings, and, he's got kind of winded and flowery prose, and it's really good reading. But in this book, you can't really do a whole lot with it because she's just chained to the bed the whole time, and she goes into like some flashbacks and memories and stuff, and her mind plays tricks on her, but it's not a whole lot you can really do. But actually getting to see those things happen, on the screen, definitely improves the flow of the story, especially when, she's hallucinating her dead husband, but of course, he's in her mind, so he can only tell her things she already knows, but she kind of needs that to help her think things through. And then, soon it's not just her husband, she's also hallucinating another version of herself, and both of them are telling her things that she already knows, but she just can't figure it out for herself. Watching her hallucinate her husband and herself at the same time is actually fairly entertaining. And the movie did move quicker than the book, or at least it felt like it did in terms of story progression. And I think that's something that the book was lacking. The book didn't progress fast enough for me, and that's why I didn't really enjoy it as much as I probably could have. But the movie moved along at a fair pace and got things done. One thing I really did like, though, is how they did the Moonlight Man. Now, if you read the book, you know that the Moonlight Man, he shows up one night while she's still cuffed to the bed, and she thinks she's hallucinating him, and he's this tall, deformed guy, and he's got a box, or a bag full of bones and jewelry and stuff, and she thinks he's just in her imagination, that he's there to frighten her or punish her mentally or whatever. She's punishing herself, and she thinks he's not real. And it actually turns out that he was real the entire time, and she finds that out at the very end. And that was honestly one of the creepiest parts of the movie. Probably the only really creepy part of the movie was the Moonlight Man, and it was only really like 1 or 2 scenes that he was in, but seriously, creepy stuff. I really, really enjoyed what they did with that character. So, a big part of the movie revolves around her memory of an eclipse. And again, we go to the molestation thing that I was talking about in the last video that seems to pop up in a lot of King's work. And in this story, it was when she was like 12. They were going to go on a boat to watch the eclipse. She didn't want to go out on the boat, so her dad stayed behind with her. And there's this, well, it gets creepy and gross and bad, and I don't really want to go into it, but if you want to know, read the book, watch the movie, whatever. Almost the worst part for me about that, though, is that the dad is played by Henry Thomas. If you don't know who Henry Thomas is, he was Elliot from E.T. He was the little kid that was E.T.'s best friend. And, you know, he, like, dropped out of movies for a while, and nobody heard from him, and then he came back and started doing stuff, and then, you know, it's almost like, it would have been okay if it were, like, some other actor, somebody I didn't know, somebody I didn't like, but, damn it, it's Elliot. It was creepy. Damn it, he was good at being creepy. He pulled off the character well, which, of course, you know, shows that Henry Thomas is actually a fine actor, but just can't get Elliot out of my head. I really like Elliot. I like Henry Thomas. Oh well. Here's a fun fact, though, that you may not have known. The story of Dolores Claiborne and the story of Gerald's game are intertwined. And it's actually the eclipse that connects them both. If you are familiar with King's Macroverse, which is like the bigger outer universe that all the stories are connected in, and even Pennywise himself is kind of like something from outside of the Macroverse that, you know, ends up in the universe where Derry is. So he's kind of like an elder god almost, but these two incidences are connected inside the Macroverse by the eclipse. In one case, you have Dolores Claiborne kills her husband and throws him down a well during the eclipse, and at the exact same time, at the very same eclipse, you have Jessie, who is kind of being molested by her father during the eclipse. And it was said somewhere, I can't remember exactly where, but also both characters, Jessie and Dolores, from these two different stories, have a touch of The Shining, so they can both shine like Danny did in The Shining, although not to the extent that he could. And if you watch the movie, I don't remember if it said so in the book or not, but in the movie, Jessie actually says that she pictured herself down in a well with a woman looking down on her, and inside the well was a secret that the woman would die before she would ever tell. And that is definitely Dolores Claiborne, and her dead husband at the bottom of the well would have been the secret. So that's kind of cool. I think they're gonna start adding in more of the Macroverse stuff with more adaptations to King's work, and that's pretty cool because I really like the Macroverse idea. So all in all, movie's worth a watch. Don't go into it looking for a horror movie. This is definitely a thriller movie. So if you're impatient or you have ADD or something, this is probably not going to work for you. But if you can manage to sit through a 2-hour-long movie that's not all jump scares and guts and stuff, then you probably might enjoy this movie. I enjoyed it more than I enjoyed the book, but that's not saying a whole lot because I didn't enjoy the book really at all. But I did finish it because I kind of can't leave a book half finished. I just can't. So that's it for this review. Do you agree? Let me know in the comments below. Also, feel free to like and subscribe if you haven't already. Also, all my social media links and crap are down in the description box. That's it until next time. So, as always, I'm Dustin. This was Horroritis. And until next time, keep it creepy.